David Njoku. I would extend David Njoku. There were some people, yes, and, this is a time of year where you look at social media a little bit more. You respond to, you do some mining. This is probably the slowest NFL offseason I can remember. There's TJ Watt conversation, but there's only so much you can talk about that guy. I mean, it's either, hey, you accept it or you don't, buddy. That's about it. When it comes to David Njoku, that contract kind of snuck up on us for David. And there's definitely some people going, yeah, absolutely, sign him. It ain't my money, no big deal. There was some pushback on David because of injury history. I think we've always been kind of waiting for David to do more. I will tell you that. I think that he's been a good tight end. Some people have said, well, he's overpaid. I don't think you can find a tight end that isn't overpaid with the exception of Hall of Famers like Travis Kelce. I mean, that's it. It's just, if you guys look at those salaries, that it's just a wildly expensive position that you don't even realize is really expensive. But I had a lot of folks going in. And let me ask you this. Would you pay David Njoku?
So I've been thinking a lot about where I think Njoku can be and whether or not, if we've seen the best out of Njoku. You don't think he's getting any better, do you?
No.
I kind of agree with that. And he always hovers around 6 to 8 to 10 most productive tight end every year. Right? Now, he hasn't really had great quarterback play. So I'm not really expecting great quarterback play this year either. And then he's going to get a rookie maybe the next year. So if that's the case, it's like, is he blocking Harold Fannin? Is he going to get in the way of Harold Fannin's development? Now, he's only 20, so he's really young too. So it's not like we need Fannin to be great this year or anything like that. But I also don't want him to get in the way of Fannin's development.
All right.
So I probably wouldn't pay David Njoku right now. And I don't know. What do you think in terms of?
This is why I would. Because I think that too many people are putting too much on Harold Fannin. I think that he's a third-round guy, and when we're sitting here saying, well, wait a minute, we're just going to let Harold Fannin take the reins. I'm going, well, look, can we get to camp first before we put these things out there about Harold Fannin just taking over this offense as a tight end one? I mean, there were criticisms of Harold Fannin coming out in the draft. I'm not trying to rip on Harold Fannin Jr. I hope he does well, but damn, man, we're putting a lot on him when we haven't even seen him. He's just from here, and he went to BG. That's why I think a lot of people are going, it's just Harold Fannin's offense now. No. I do think that David Njoku has been, because of what we made him out to be in the media and even a little bit in the fan base to start off his career, what he was going to be. I mean, he's a first-round pick. I don't think he's ever lived up to those expectations. But he's been solid. And you need solid. He'll be on an extension. It doesn't have to be the biggest extension ever. He would be on an extension because I have Harold Fannin on a rookie contract for the foreseeable next 3 years. So you would have 2 more years with Harold Fannin to be tight end number 2 or eventually taking over as tight end number 1, where it makes it easier to decide whether or not you're going to pay Harold Fannin Jr., and easier to maybe let go of David Njoku. Some people were tweeting at me that they would trade him now. Well, you got $20 million of dead cap space, and I think you'd probably get the same thing out of him in a trade if you just let him play for your football team and became a very vital target for one of your 4 quarterbacks, because it's exactly what Lima says. I think if David Njoku were to hear me say, well, he hasn't really lived up to the expectations, I think he'd go, well, we get your fat ass out there running routes for some of these quarterbacks that I've had to do. I think that's a perfectly fair argument from David Njoku on that. I would probably draw umbrage from David if I were him. So I think that those fights are for David that are fair. I just want to pay him. Not an exorbitant sum, obviously, but the Browns have always found a way to pay guys and somehow stay under the cap, because you know what I think about the cap. If you let him play for the rest of this year, he's going to help out one of my 4 quarterbacks or 4 different quarterbacks at the same time. And you could franchise tag him if you really wanted to at the end of the season, or you could let him go. Maybe Harold Fannin Jr. does prove himself. You still need another tight end that you'll probably have to draft, but maybe Harold Fannin Jr. does play very well. You could let him go, and you could get a mid-round compensatory pick if he picks up somewhere as a free agent.
Yeah, you said franchise tag for tight ends.
It's probably very high.
Well, last year it was $12.69 million.
Yeah, it's the average, top 5 average. Going rate.
Yeah, that was in February of last year.
Money's money. I just think it's where he counts for everybody against the cap. So you're hoping, I mean, we're all hoping Harold Fannin Jr. has a great rookie season. That would make this a lot easier. But I just have to guard in case, hey, if David has to have 4 different quarterbacks thrown to him and he's a veteran, well, how about Harold with 4 different quarterbacks thrown to him and he's a 3rd-round rookie, guys?
I do wonder if they're like Fannin, the way that he got used in college. I mean, he was basically the entire offense for Bowling Green. I know you fine, throw out the games against MAC teams, okay, of which, I had a few of those games, but just watch him against Texas A&M and Penn State. I mean, not only did he look like he belonged, he was running wild after the catch, but he's also used like they would use him as an H-back. They would hand the ball off to him. And he would beat, guys on the line to the first down marker.
He was clearly a major college football, a power 4 tight end in the Mid-American Conference. I'm glad he showed up and played well against A&M. Don't get me wrong, but he was clearly better than all those guys.
Do you think he would be as highly coveted by the city right now? Because he's people are pretty high on him if he went to Tulane and he wasn't from here. He was from
no, probably not.
No, they wouldn't. But real quick, right before you made that point, which was a great point, Owen, Lima just said it. Lima just reminded me. He played well against Penn State, right?
Yeah.
Penn State doesn't have a lot of weapons either. So they had to use Tyler Warren at times as a wildcat on quarterback. Well, Harold Fannin Jr., hey, no offense to the guys at BGZ, but I don't think that they had a lot of talent to work with this last year because you have Harold Fannin Jr. being a big part of your offense. That's good scheming. That's good game planning. Good by them. But you see where the guy who was taken was Tyler Warren 1st round or early 2nd round. You see the guy who was taken higher who ended up having to help Penn State do it. You see the guy who's taken a little bit later. You put more pressure on Tyler Warren. I don't want to all of a sudden put a bunch of pressure on Harold Fannin Jr. Because I think that we could get to the end of this where in January, I'm making arguments that some people are going, well, what about Harold Fannin Jr.? Andrew drafted him. And I'm going to say, well, he had 4 different quarterbacks thrown to him. So I just think it makes more sense. And I'm starting to turn into George Allen with this team. I want all these veterans to play, and I want all these veterans to get this chance because I think there's a lot more at stake than we want it to be, than we planned for it to be.
Would you be okay if you knew, because we talk about all this relative to the salary cap, which is really tough because obviously every team is under the salary cap and every team finds a way because you have to by law in the CBA. So if you knew it came at the expense, a contract for David Njoku came at the expense of another position, what would be a similar position that they might have a hole at that they might need to pursue?
Offensive line.
Because again, all right, so that's interesting because we know that Wyatt Teller, Conklin, Joel Bitonio, they are all likely playing their last seasons with the Browns, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if this, when you take Harold Fannin, what number was he again?
He was 3rd round, 69, somewhere in there.
So when you, all right, if we're talking,
I'm going off the top of my head, man.
When you take a guy top 100 at a skill position, you're
3rd round, 67. Damn, okay, I'm good.
So, all right, top 70
in a league.
When you're taking a guy top 70,
guy.
You're supposed to be paving the way for them to take over their position as a starter.
That's true.
Unless you're a Super Bowl team. And I remember fans were saying this the last few years. Look, Barry's got such a loaded team that we have no place to put these guys. And then they go 3-14. You're like, holy cow, we have more holes than anybody.
So Jeremy Fowler put out his tight end rankings this morning at 6 a.m. He's got him listed 10th this year.
He's got David Njoku listed 10th.
The first guy you're thinking of, by the way, when I talk about the offensive line, and it's Wyatt Teller. Because Wyatt Teller's a unrestricted free agent or has a void after the end of this year as well. And people want to trade him when his dead cap hit was $30 million for crying out loud. Now, I know that things could change, but there you go. I mean, if I'm choosing between the two, if I have to choose between Joel Bitonio Wyatt Teller and David Njoku, I bet a lot of us would probably take Wyatt Teller. Because think about it for next year. Yes, whatever quarterback we get is going to need weapons, but I also think that you need to protect that guy. And Wyatt Teller's been proven. Like right now, I got Zach Zinter probably replacing Joel Bitonio after his final year. Well, I think a lot of us are going to hold our breath for Zach Zinter because as much as I liked him, he was coming off a serious injury last year, and he wasn't ready to play when he had to be thrown in there last year. So for this offensive line, I'm always protectionist about this. Then Harold Fannin Jr. would be forced to take on a different role or a more pronounced role within this offense with a rookie quarterback thrown to him. 216-474-0092, or even a second-year Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, whatever. Chuck in Cleveland, you're first up on the Fan.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
We're doing well, Chuck. Go ahead.
All right, my thing on Njoku is this. I think we should move on from him. First of all, he doesn't have good agility. His change of direction is terrible. And when he gets the ball, I mean, his acceleration is minimal. You know, I think Fannin, I mean, this guy caught 150 balls. At tight end, you want a guy with hands. This guy got hands. The kid got speed. It's like a tight end / receiver. What do you guys think about that?
Well, how good was his 40 time there, Lima? I didn't think it was very good.
He did not wow anybody at the combine. I do know that. In fact, people were kind of disappointed in some of his drill work.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard people say he was kind of a tweener. That was one of the hard things to figure out about his evaluation. Like, was he more of a wide receiver, but then at his dimensions and his speed, if he's a wide receiver, then he's too slow. So
we're in a 4.71.
Yeah.
That's not very fast. What did David run at the combine? I'm imagining it's quicker since he was a first-round pick. Okay. I think David's a hell of an athlete. The harder catches he makes easier than the easier catches. I mean, he's been
boy, that is so true.
He has been an enigma for this offense.
He would have the most bizarre end zone drops. You're like, oh my God. And then he will box somebody out in the back of the end zone, somehow go up, and you wouldn't even know how he could see the football.
Yeah.
And it would just glue to his hands. There's a really hard guy to explain to people.
The lost season
then he'd take a tight end screen 70 yards.
The lost season he had, if you remember, he was going up to try to make a wild catch, and then he came down and broke his wrist on the wild throw that he had from Baker, for crying out loud.
That's right.
216 464
474-0092. Only 464.
Wow, I would have thought
the difference is the vertical and the broad jump in Njoku is way bigger.
Yeah,
his numbers were way better.
No. Something's got to separate. Daniel Oyefusi joined us from ESPN just moments ago. We asked him whether or not the Browns would go into week 1 with 4 QBs.
I don't believe so. I mean, we're not even seeing a lot of teams carry 3 quarterbacks nowadays on the 53-man roster, but just the nature of, this quarterback room and having 2 rookies, I think both of those guys are gonna. I mean, Dylan Gabriel is a 3rd-round pick. He's almost like assured a roster spot. And while Shedeur Sanders, normally a 5th-round pick isn't guaranteed a roster spot, but he is a quarterback, and I think that so far he's shown enough. I think he'll continue to show enough in training camp to prove to the Browns that he's worth developing. I think that he keep those 2 rookies, and then I think it's a matter of which one of the veterans they feel most comfortable starting the season off with. Obviously, like Kenny Pickett, we haven't really talked about him, but for whatever anyone wants to say about Kenny Pickett, like the Browns kind of targeted him early in free agency. Andrew Berry said as much. They said that he was a guy, that dating back to a year ago, they were looking at him as a potential trade target. So they do believe that there is kind of a ceiling for him to get better, a potential for him to get better. But I don't know. I think that I'd rather in this situation just kind of roll with Flacco and then know that you have a proven vet, and then you got some two young guys that are really worth developing.
Okay, that makes some sense. It would be odd, but I think any move that they would make would be odd out of this point, because you think about it. You bring in Joe. I don't know if you make any move without controversy out of this class with these quarterbacks getting ready for this season. You brought in Joe. He's 40 years old. If you let go of Joe, you spent $4 million to get a look at Joe during training camp. Oh, and you're letting go of the guy that the veterans are on the record that they trust and went to the playoffs with. I know that game we don't really want to talk about, but they still went to the playoffs with. You got Kenny Pickett. You let Kenny Pickett walk. You get rid of Kenny Pickett. You cut him. Okay, so you gave up a 5th-round pick for Kenny Pickett. Why did you, to get a look at him at camp? You said all these great things. You targeted him early in free agency, or you targeted him early during the, not free agency, but during the offseason to go after him to trade for Kenny Pickett, but then you're going to let him go away. And then, of course, with the 2 rookies, Well, you're going to bring in Shedeur Sanders, tantalize everybody, let Shedeur Sanders go, because that's obviously going to come with a bunch of questions. And I got to tell you guys, and this is a sick thing to admit that you're not going to like, I was scouring Big 12 media days to see if Deion said anything about Shedeur. Guilty as charged. I'm sorry. Guilty as charged.
Well, why? What's wrong with that?
I wanted to see if anybody asked him about Shedeur, because that is one of the things that we have to pay attention to, is that his dad is one of the most high-profile people in sports. He's certainly one of the most high-profile college football coaches out there. We did talk about something he spoke about at Big 12 Media Days, and it's like, hey, if he's going to be asked about Shedeur, he's going to give an answer about Shedeur, and we'll see where he comes out on that, because that's going to influence a lot of fans of Shedeur Sanders. And the same thing I bring up, though, if you were to let go of Dillon Gabriel, that's a third-round pick. Now I question your own philosophy on picking quarterbacks. And so that goes against you even for the offseason. So that's a question that you have to answer if you're them. 216-474-0092. We also asked Daniel about the hot seat or perceived hot seat, or if there should be even a hot seat, about Kevin Stfansk.
Obviously, again, another 3-win season, tough conversations need to be had, but I think that it feels like the comments from ownership, they're going to give some time. They're going to give this group some time to kind of work through the post-Deshaun Watson era and see if they have anything that they can build on for the future.
That this is already a bizarre year. This is a bizarre offseason. It's a bizarre year, Tone. Quite bizarre.
It's hard because anytime, and we're just sitting there asking one of the beat writers, one of the guys that's there every single day, whether or not they're even going to have all 4 guys on the roster. And he's like, yeah, most teams don't even have 3 now. So I've wondered how they were going to do this. I don't care what staff you were. I don't think Andy Reid, I don't think it'd be easy for Andy Reid, who's been around forever, to do and to embark on what Stefanski's about to embark on. And we're not talking about rookie minicamp or minicamp in general, right? Or OTAs. We're talking about actual training camp. You have 4 quarterbacks coming into actual training camp, and how many of them want to start? And legitimately think they have a chance to start.
All of them.
Don't all 4 legitimately think they have a chance?
I think so.
Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, they have started as recently as, the last 2 years. They both have started.
Yeah.
And then you've got 2 guys who, one was drafted in the 3rd round. 3rd round quarterbacks expect to be the quarterback at some point. They do. Maybe not a top 15 pick, but when you're drafted in the 3rd round as a quarterback,
you're going to start a game in the NFL.
Yes, of course.
More than likely.
And then the other one is Shedeur Sanders, who there's never been a day over the last 4 years where he hasn't thought he's going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And there hasn't been a day that's gone by in his life where somebody hasn't directly told him, you will be starting. You could say he's surrounded himself by delusional people. No, everybody thought Shedeur Sanders up until the 3 days before the draft, when everyone's like, wait, he's not even a 1st-round pick? Mm-hmm. Everybody thought he was going to start a game probably this year. So 4 guys. When has that ever happened in the NFL? How is Kevin Stfansk and that organization going to come up with a format starting here in how many days now when training camp gets underway?
Just over a week.
How is he going to put all 4 guys out there, evaluate them in the best possible way, put them in position to where the staff can evaluate them? And I'd even ask this. Do you think in Kevin Stefanski's mind, and then I'll ask the same question for Andrew Berry.
I got to be there for this.
Does he have a pecking order today on July 11th to how he thinks this is going to play out? Or is he walking into this like a jury is always asked, to come in with an open mind?
No, he has a leader.
Does Andrew Berry
better have a leader? He better have a leader.
Do they have the same leader?
Well, they're thought partners, so I would imagine
they are thought partners.
Well, does Andrew Berry's leader matter?
Go on.
Who's got more power in the organization?
They have equal power from everything that we know, right?
Who's really got more power? When Jimmy Haslam...
Neither.
When Jimmy Haslam...
You just said the name.
So think about this. When Jimmy Haslam...
What's his leader?
As we get closer to, say, the first preseason game, or maybe it's the dual practice, whatever you call it. Joint practice. Yeah. When Jimmy Haslam wants to either pick up the phone, or maybe he's in the office, and he wants to find out and pick the brain of his head coach and his GM. and he wants to be told the truth. Like, I'm here, I'm the owner. I deserve to know what the order is. Does he go to Andrew Berry or does he go to Kevin Stfansk?
I think it's both at the same time.
So he has them both in.
I think in both. You don't want to split the difference.
No, I think for the gameplay, I think he's going to Stfansk, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm
sorry, I glossed over Jimmy, game plan. Did you say game plan?
What if Jimmy and say he's
We're past personnel?
Say he's talking to whoever is the head honcho. We actually know the individuals, but the head honcho of the marketing department.
Oh, really?
And the head honcho of the marketing department is like, guys, we got 3 weeks for the season starts. Whose poster is the biggest? Like, what am I supposed to do? What are we sending out in the email? Like, I gotta get ready for this.
Myles Garrett.
No, but for the quarterbacks, like we gotta start.
We don't do that this year.
Bernie Kosar. That's one we could all agree with that we love.
Brian said.
I mean, it's as bizarre an offseason as it gets, man. And you're right. Like, if there's a difference of opinion, because general manager has to think a couple of years down the line. Kevin Stfansk has to think about winning games right now. There's pressure on both these guys. There's pressure on the players that Andrew picks to perform. And then again, how much sway does Kevin have in those players that are picked? So, I mean, these are going to be very big issues. These are going to be very big issues with this football team moving forward. But going back to Kevin, I would have to think that, yes, he has a leader in the clubhouse. He has a guy that he has in mind. I want to say it's Joe Flacco from everything I know about the guy. But damn it, how many people have come on this show and have said that they believe that they want Kenny Pickett to be the leader in the club? Not that the people who are making their opinions known, talking about they believe that the Browns want Kenny Pickett to be the leader in the clubhouse for it. And honestly, it does make sense to do that. Like, I know that we've made jokes about, his aunt yelling at us online or things like that. It makes sense. How old's Kenny? 26? 27? How old's Kenny? Somewhere in there. He ain't 40. So you could always try to make him out to be your Geno Smith, your Sam Darnold. Ironically, your
27.
27. Ironically, your Baker Mayfield. You could try to make him out to be, but then, boy, that's a whole can of worms. And see what he has. Because 40 years old, you're getting 1 year out of Joe Flacco. It's the same. Again, we are, in so many ways, we share a lot more than we think going into this year with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are thinking Super Bowl. They are absolutely thinking Super Bowl. But, boy, there's a lot of things that we have in common with that fan base right now.